Case 6. Does evolution preserve the one human nature needed for salvation? In this case, we examine the question from the standpoint of the patristic tradition, especially the theology of Maximus the Confessor. Can evolution be received without changing the meaning of Christian belief? Not Christianity as it is often explained today, but Christianity as it was received and guarded by the early church fathers, especially in the thought of Maximus the Confessor. Everything depends on one question: what is a human being? Because before we ask how humanity came to be, we must first ask whether we still know what humanity is. And if that meaning shifts, then everything built on it shifts as well. Christian belief begins not with biology, but with a claim about reality itself. Humanity is not an advanced animal. Humanity is a created nature made in the image of God, a nature that begins with Adam, is wounded in the fall, is assumed by Christ, and is healed in him. This is not symbolic language. It is the structure of salvation. Athanasius of Alexandria states it clearly. What is not assumed is not healed, meaning this: Christ saves only what he truly takes into himself, not something similar, not a partial form, but what humanity truly is. So the question becomes unavoidable. What exactly is that one thing? Now we turn to Maximus the Confessor. Maximus teaches that every created thing has a logos, its meaning in God, its true identity before time. This logos is not produced by history. It is revealed through history. History does not create what a thing is. History shows what God intended it to be. So there's a distinction at the heart of reality: what a thing is in God and how it unfolds in time. Human nature, therefore, is defined not by its gradual appearance, but by its logos in God. Now consider evolution. Evolution describes human beings as emerging through continuous change. No single moment where non-human becomes human, only gradual transition. This describes development in time, but it raises a deeper question. What makes all these stages one human nature? Not intelligence, not behavior, not physical form, but the one humanity spoken of in Adam, the fall, and Christ. A common reply now appears. It says evolution does not deny human nature. It only describes how it appears gradually. Human nature remains one real nature, it says, even if it unfolds across time. Adam, on this view, is not a biological first human, but the first person before God as humanity. The fall is not biological corruption, but spiritual turning. And Christ does not require a biological origin point, only a real human nature that God can assume and heal. So evolution describes how humans appear. Theology describes what humans are. Now this must be tested. This position depends on one assumption: that human nature remains one real nature, even if it appears in many stages. But here the central question appears. If human beings emerge only as a continuous process without one real unity in history, then what is it that Christ assumes as one and heals as one? This is the hinge of the entire case. There are only three answers. Either Christ assumes one real human nature in reality, or he assumes a unity we construct after the fact, or unity exists only in abstraction, not in reality. But Christ does not assume a concept. He assumes a reality, and what he assumes must exist as one, if it is to be healed as one. Now Adam returns. Adam is not symbolic. He is the beginning of one human nature. The fall is not only moral failure. It is the wound of that one nature shared by all humanity. And Christ does not enter a stage of development. He enters that one nature to heal it completely. So the question becomes simple. Is human nature one real thing, or is it only a long chain of change we group under one name? Because if it is only a label, then Adam loses his significance. The fall loses its meaning, and Christ no longer assumes the one humanity he came to heal. And if Christ does not assume a real unity, then salvation no longer refers to one reality at all. At the deepest level, the issue is not evolution itself. It is whether there exists one real human nature that can be assumed, healed, and restored as one in Christ. Christ does not assume a word or category, but one real human nature that must exist as one if it is to be healed as one. And unless human nature is one real reality in creation, the words Adam, fall, and Christ no longer refer to the same thing the fathers meant. Until this is shown, the patristic vision remains coherent in its own terms. One humanity, one fall, one Christ, one salvation. Such is the case.